It's Star Fox. It's Thingus.
It's 1993.
Threegus, that's right. We have a third mic, but we won't get into it now.
I don't want to be a third mic or anything.
Well, no, you're our guest. I don't know why. There's a lot of first-time chatters. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thingus.
Welcome to A Thingus to the Past.
A Thingus to the Past, right. We shouldn't speak like so familiar to you.
Thingus, no,
to the freaking past. Welcome to
a
Thingus
show that will last 35 years in either direction.
Yes, we've decided it will last 35 years. Welcome to Thingus. This is a show where I, Meredith, and my brother Joe play old video games and think of horrible and wonderful things from the past. And this is a very special episode because this is the very first time we have a guest. We actually convinced somebody to come into our cave with us and play video games. We're very excited to have Fred, a fox in space, on the show tonight. Thanks for coming, Fred.
Thank you for having me.
He has a little fellow there. Do you wanna introduce this guy?
Yeah, this is Wolfgang Seamus. And he's only going to be available for kidnapping for 3 more days. I don't want to plug or anything, but...
Look, you came a long way. You came a long way. You can talk about yourself.
Let's ask everyone in the chat how the levels are. Someone said that I'm a little quieter than everybody.
How do we sound, guys?
This is me talking at a regular volume.
This is me talking at a regular volume.
This is me talking at a regular volume.
What do you think, guys? How are we doing? Mike is too low. Mike? What are you talking about? Fred low. Fred's mic is a little low?
A lot low.
A lot low? A little quiet?
I have like a dial that makes my mic louder and quieter.
I don't think that makes it louder and quieter on the stream.
But like, if you push it...
Like my mic isn't getting the OBS, I guess.
Oh, it's not sounding good? Very room sounding? Is your mic muted by any chance? Is it red? Is the energy red?
No, there's a white light.
Sounds correct. Sounds like it's...
Can I see?
I'm turning the gain up now. This is the gain all the way up.
It sounds...
Yeah, now it's really noisy.
I mean, you're coming through, but I can make you a little louder.
We'll get it figured out.
Yeah.
We'll get it figured out. Can you guys hear what Fred is saying?
Can you hear me? And blah 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 words.
He's got quite a velvety voice. I would not want that to fail to come through.
If
sounds like somebody else's mic from far away, you say.
Yeah, my might not even be sending to OBS.
I mean, yeah.
All right, let's make sure. I mean, this should all be going to the same place. That's very strange. Far away. Like a galaxy
From
far away?
Far away.
All right. Wait. What about now?
Blah, blah. This is words coming out of my mouth. I did not want to do training.
Better. Hooray!
Right?
Hooray.
There we go. Better hooray!
Okay.
I think it's time to freaking play.
Yeah.
You better, you bet.
This is my first time ever configuring 3 microphones and 3 webcams.
Well, you did a wonderful job when, only having 45 minutes to figure it out.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that definitely only took 45 minutes.
It was around that much.
It was,
I really started focusing on it.
It wasn't bad. I figured it out after everyone got here, so I feel pretty good. It sounds crisp and refreshing. Good. Good. Speaking of crisp and refreshing, look at this game.
The guy doing this voice is the same guy in Super Metroid that does the last Metroid is in captivity.
Ah.
He does Fox's voice in this game.
What a fun factoid.
He was Nintendo's English translation manager. I can't remember the official name of the job, but it was something like the adaptation.
Everybody in those days did every job. It's grown specialized over time.
Yeah, like, I feel like people who did voices in video games didn't have to be, like, really talented, right? They just...
Whoa, listen to the noises inside of my dry mouth.
I love in, like, a video game when you can hear, when you can just, like, hear the echo of the office building in a character's voice. That's just, like, so good to me.
I like the voices in King's Quest. Thanks again for all your help.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like when you get stabbed a second after you say that.
And I mean, you know, this game has great voices too, but Star Fox 64 had like the compressed voices.
Oh, is it the same kind of deal where it's like the little animal voices, or is there actually
64 was the now I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
I think it was the first game that had that many voices in it when it came out.
Really?
Not counting PC. But
It feels like it was a lot for an N64 game.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah, like the console was straining with all of its might. I'm sitting in an office chair tonight. It's very uncouch-like. Hello, everyone. The chat is just absolutely filled with people who've never been in here before.
Well, good.
Good. Hello.
That means
everyone.
it's working.
That's right. That's right. Now that you're here, you won't be able to ignore us again. They've been ignoring us, Joe.
Look who's back.
Wait. You mean Adolf Hitler? I feel like whenever somebody says that, all right, it's guess who's back.
No, it's Look Who's Back. Have you ever seen Look Who's Back?
That's the show where he travels through time to high school or whatever.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, it's like Hitler is in present day and seeing how things have turned out or something. I haven't seen it, but I've seen trailers for it.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
Joe has described it to me, but like, you know, like kind of like how people have like an anti-library of books that like they just have in their house and they don't intend to read. I feel like knowing about Look Who's Back is so much more enriching to me than watching the movie could ever be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I wouldn't have mentioned it if I didn't think it was worth watching.
Okay, you think I should see it?
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
All right, I'll come around to
It's a
it.
good Hitler movie.
Sure. Well, yeah. Maybe when it's maybe when I'm marathoning Hitler movies, or when, you know, I guess I've got a TV on during the holidays and it just comes on network TV. Is like, you know, just like something cozy to watch at home when you're off from work. That's probably when I'll end up checking it out.
Well, yeah, maybe I watched it specifically because I was making a thing about Hitler, and I didn't want to do any real Hitler research because I wanted to tap into like your childhood fear.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
irrational
You don't want to
mind.
know too much about Hitler when you're making something like, this is from 1932 when he was first blah blah blah, and people start, you know, like rubbing their chin.
Yeah, no, that's not helpful. That's not
No.
helpful at all.
We don't know anything about Hitler.
You gotta see Danger 5. Have you ever seen Danger 5?
What's that?
But somebody is talking about Danger 5 in the chat.
Uh-huh.
So it's It's a show from 2012 made by Italians in Australia. Have you ever heard of Italian Spider-Man?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
It's the people who made Italian Spider-Man. It's kind of
how nice.
it's made to look like a 60s 70s spy show, but it's World War II with Hitler. But it has all the twangy doom down down doom down down like spy music aesthetic and everything.
And Hitler's our guy.
Yeah, and Hitler's the bad guy, and Danger
okay.
5 is like the team that's tasked with killing Hitler in every episode, but every episode he jumps through a window and escapes.
I see. How many episodes are there?
The first season, it's like 6 or 8. It's you all would fall in love with it. It's
Man,
right up your alley.
I love, like, they never do that in America, like the 5-episode, 6-episode TV
usually
show.
like the British or Australian thing where it's like
Right.
6 episodes and they're done.
Well, yeah, it's like this is the amount of ideas we actually had, and we made that many episodes. It's a nice thought. I mean, I guess that's kind of how we do it here now, right? Like, shows get made for like half a season or something.
Well, yeah, they're like one season is 2 seasons.
Right. But half a season is still like not exactly the same as like I had a small short series worth of ideas and I made them into a show.
British shows are also 30 minutes long instead of 22 minutes long. So it's 8 more minutes per episode. So 8 times 6.
How are you supposed to squeeze ads into a 30-minute TV show?
I'm not sure what they do.
I mean, it's on like BBC, right? That's like funded by the government. Am I getting this right?
So there's just no ads.
I don't know.
The
There
old
must be-
magic's still there.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, what we've surmised
Never
about British
seen
TV
this.
is so cool, and they don't do it like that here. I love thinking about imaginary things that other people do and getting mad.
But not to spoil the show, in the last episode, Hitler escapes using a time machine, and he goes to the 80s. And season 2 of Adventure 5 is set up with 80s aesthetic. Like he disguises himself as high school student Johnny Hitler. And it's literally just old ass Hitler in a Letterman jacket playing Foursquare, and all the girls are falling in love with him while the Danger 5 agents are also disguised as secret. Like you have to see it. You have to see it.
This sounds incredible.
It was like a 2 and done.
I love it. I love a 2 and done.
Yeah.
Like, I love when things don't drag. Like, oh, they should have done 10 seasons. I'm like, no.
No. Just make something in the capacity that like you imagined it. Like, why? I mean, I know why, but like, I just have such distaste for the idea of things being made to continue indefinitely, just in case they become the next IP. So we got a lot of cranks in this place today. For those who don't know, Fred is the creator of A Fox in Space, which
Nothing to do with this game.
Nothing to do with this game. Completely irrelevant to the game we're playing. And as far as I can tell, is a completely viewer-supported production.
Absolutely. Without them, I would be scrubbing toilets in a gas station.
As many are right this moment. Kind of a rare thing, as us animators know. It is not common to have any sort of long-term viability in independent animation. Very few have the fortitude for it. Let's see. Did I have a question? Was I going somewhere with this? I guess I you know what I'm getting to is, does it suck? Like,
What in particular?
no, I just like how much of your daily life is creating animation versus kind of appealing to the audience to fund animation?
I just stream all day every couple days usually, and that's my proof that I'm doing what I should be doing. Some people be like, oh, I'm working on it, I promise, and then they never show anything they're working on, and you just have to trust that they're doing it.
Sure.
But that is part of my appealing is showing people what I'm doing. It's like, hey, and this is where this scene's going and that scene's going. Every now and then I go on YouTube and do one for like a large number of people, like a stream, just being like, here's an update, here's what's going on, here's how much I've got left, and here's how much I have left to, or here's how much I've got done, here's how much I have left to do. Just to keep interest going.
Just sort of maintain the trust of the people who
have
already decided that they really want to see these animations. I mean, I think that in itself is a rare thing.
Damn it, Slippy. Keeps getting in trouble.
Yeah. Is Slippy the weakest link in the chain here?
He's not the best pilot on the team, so he's the one you have to rescue the most.
That's interesting that you're able to kind of, and I mean, I suppose I've engaged with my audience in this way in the past too, that you are able to sort of work on the work itself and engage with the audience at the same time.
It takes a little getting used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's a lot of fun.
Do you ever feel like you give them too much information?
Oh, I let everybody know. It's like, if you don't want to know what happens in the show, don't watch the streams. You'll come in right when I start. I'm like, okay, this character's about to die here, and this happens, and this blows up, and this guy gets mad at this person for doing this. Yeah, I don't feel the need for a disclaimer. I mean, if you go into a development stream, you can kind of assume you're gonna have some spoilers happen.
Oh man, I find that I don't I stream only a fraction of the time I'm working for that very reason, that I'm so worried about showing people art that will give away what's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
I suppose that's a bit of a trade-off, but I see some incredibly enthusiastic people here, so they do not seem to mind at all. I'm gonna read a little bit of what I see here. People say that your streams are also incredibly chill, so you
It's very relaxing. We don't like scream at stuff and flip tables. I see a lot of streams where people will get mad at a video game and break things, and people are like, yeah. It's like,
that's,
I don't like that vibe.
Yeah,
no, I hate it when a streamer is just like starts raging and peaking. Like Fred was telling me how he has a limiter, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh, like on their audio?
Yeah, so no matter how loud I scream or if I'm laughing too loud about something, it doesn't. Ow.
It's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I personally find myself pretty confounded by what I see on Twitch when I just sort of randomly stumble around. It's either like somebody screaming like that, or it's like somebody being quiet for like 30 minutes and then just being like, the number 515 is in the chassis. You know, like they just like say something that makes absolutely no sense, but like everyone in the chat knows exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, like spamming something in the chat. It's like, oh, let me get a number 3 on the 5-6 if you guys blah blah blah. Yes. And everyone just, before he's even done saying the slang, they're already typing. I was like, I'm new here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. It's nice to let people in. I feel like, you know, what I'd like to see from Twitch and from streaming in general is more like weird public access TV shit.
I love that stuff. I miss the public access vibe.
Yeah, I just want to see like some weirdo. I want it to be 3 a.m. wherever they are. And yeah. I want like the air to feel a little bit cold. Like the sun is nowhere near up, and I want to see some weird stuff that came out of their mind. And that would be the ideal Twitch world to me, is just jumping around into people's strange homes and seeing the things that they think should be on TV. This is usually where I would just like run screaming for the power button. Scary. How often, Fred, do you rely on collaborators with your work?
I'm getting ready to do that a lot more. I'm teaching a couple of people how to animate. Or not how to animate, but how to in-between in Blender. And other than that, it's just really voice acting. I do all the music and stuff myself.
Passing off animation to other people, it seems very challenging.
Yeah, and it's like you're letting someone babysit your baby.
Yeah. And then you have to go through every individual frame of their babysitting job. I've collaborated with other animators before, and I'm soon going to need to be doing the same thing. I'm reaching the final year of production on my game, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, so soon all the shitty artwork is gonna have to be replaced, and I'm gonna need people who just know what the hell I want. So I'm sort of dreading that process myself. But
Just find somebody you can trust. I usually don't vet people's Twitters, but just, you know, if they have social media, it won't hurt you to take a look at it and make sure that they're not, you know, volatile or whatever.
that they're not gonna like tell every. Oh my god, this scares the shit out of me. I hate it.
It's just, you know, if they're on there complaining about working for someone, like, oh, I hate doing work, blah, 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 or
Right,
whatever.
and they just contacted you like, hi, since I love doing work so much, would you
Yeah.
consider hiring me?
I would always check out stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Not you know, like, oh, you like this and that. I was like, no, like
Right.
anything that hints at their work ethic, I would look at.
Yeah,
But,
people who say like, you know, they talk about like death by anxiety is real or whatever is the problem this week. Oh my god, this is so viscerally terrifying. This is going to give me death by anxiety to watch this.
All right, see if I can get him on the first pass. Gotcha.
Oh my god, that was so fast.
I cheated. I used the black hole portal, so.
Oh right. You got here really fast.
Oh, sorry, my hands are all sweaty.
You have to get out too, right? Or is this
No, that's in the 64 game. Everything's automated from here.
Oh.
May want
How
to wipe it
beautiful.
off. Sorry, I'm a little drippy. That's what I get for wearing a long sleeve shirt. Yeah, the guy that does the voice here is the last Metroid is in captivity.
Oh.
I think these games were being worked on around the same time. Metroid came out in what, 94? I think it was.
So they were just running down the hall and doing a voice and coming
Yeah.
back. Oh god, is this beautiful.
Yeah, this looks great.
When this came out, this absolutely blew my mind. Because there were no like real 3D accelerated home video games at this time.
No, this is it. I mean, was there anything else? There might have been a couple more that used like the FX chip on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, there were a couple.
But this
was the first one.
Yeah. And was it Miyamoto that decided there should be cute little animals in this? Who's the
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was it Satoru Iwata or
I think it was Miyamoto.
no, I mean who did like the original. I can't remember the guy's name who did the art designs of the characters.
Well,
I know Miyamoto
it's
had
gonna
a-
say, right?
Oh yeah, I guess we'll find out. No, it was a different artist. It wasn't. No, not Iwata. God, I can't remember. I can't remember his name. I follow him on Twitter. I keep trying to find out if he's ever going to follow me, but I don't think anyone that's ever been affiliated with Nintendo is allowed to follow me.
Oh, fair. They don't want to.
This thing is cool.
Oh yeah, I mean this is like stats are so cool. When you're a kid, what's better than stats?
Let's talk about the robot.
Oh, okay. Well, I love at the end of like Super Mario 2, you get like all the villains as the credits.
Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, and in Mario World, you also get to see all the villains at the end.
Oh, this thing is. I mean, it's
Yeah,
really.
that thing gave me nightmares. If you take the hard route, it turns into a demon face with horns on it. I didn't know that for like 15 years.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
shit!
I was never that good.
What a masterpiece. Good stuff. Now, I knew that you would be able to beat this game quickly, but I guess it would have been pretty funny if you were just like, I'm not good at this.
I'm really not that good at this game. You're getting like, oh, I save everyone, I get 100% on everything. Like, especially Star Fox 64. If we hooked up Star
important.
Fox 64, I'd embarrass myself.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, I think, being able to come on the show and have a conversation and play it is plenty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dylan
Dylan
Cuthbert.
Cuthbert, he's the wonderkind.
Those are the ones. That's Krister. That's the one I named the car after. And it was like, is your wife enjoying the Krister?
yeah.
Like, or his nickname, his name Krister Wombell or whatever. His nickname was KWX.
Imamura.
Yeah, that's who it was. Imamura. Takai Imamura was he's the one that did all of the concept art that they used for Star Fox 2 for the re-release on the 2017 Super Nintendo Mini or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Give me just a second, I'll be right back.
Amazing. Yes, I love it. Like, Gabby left for 15 minutes and Fred beat the game.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Oh, yeah, sorry, dude. Oh, hello. Pardon me for a minute, too. Joe, you gotta entertain the people. Oh, my darling.
Star Fox.
We are in the middle of filming.
Yeah. How old was I when this came out? Like, I was like 4 or 5.
Really that young?
Yeah. What was it? 1993. Is it the air?
Yeah, I'm just like really, really hot.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
my
sure
fault
thing.
for wearing a shirt and a layer underneath.
Ugh. I don't want you to freeze out either. If we switch places. Sorry. It's like a control just falling out of my hand. Actually, if we're gonna play,
Something, this doesn't change. This stays here
Yeah.
until you reset. Is there
Okay, what should we play next?
Gosh, Sega CD game?
Yeah. Turn the Genesis.
And we also got Dreamcast.
Sorry, just burning up.
Sorry about that, Fred.
It's my fault. I should have worn a tank top or something.
We keep it warm up here. Alright, so I believe this is the Genesis with the Mega Drive right here.
Yeah.
Alright.
Cool.
You got that controller?
I don't know if it'll reach over here for me.
Get well.
Get my aloe vera.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was at Sears and they had Star Fox, on display there to play. I actually went through and beat it at Sears.
Cool.
And there were 9 or 10 people in line behind me to play Star Fox because it had just come out. And I remember, because I had beat it at home, it's just my mom was shopping for stuff, and I was like, I'm going to go over here and play Star Fox. And I just remembered right when I beat it, I was like, I talked to the lady behind the counter at the video game thing there, and I was like, you have to open it and turn the power off and back on. And she's like, I can't do that, honey. I don't have the key. And I look back at this line of people, and they're all just like looking at me, and I was like, Not only did they all watch me beat the game, but then now they couldn't play it because it was stuck on the end screen.
That is an incredible playing video games at Sears story. I feel like that is a pretty continuous theme in our conversations about like video games in the 90s. That playing at Sears was like how you were exposed to so many games and how you became excited about so many things. Like Sears is where the Super Nintendo was before it came out, like months before it came out. And, you know, like, I think about it now as a parent. Like, the time it takes me to get into a store with my kid and get what I need is the time that my son has to see the thing that he is more excited about than life itself. Like, you know, I don't think Best Buy is as fun as a Sears, but I go into Best Buy, I am trying to get the hell out of there as quickly as I humanly can.
Yeah, without people coming on and be like, oh, would you like to sign up for this? Would you like to try the new Lady Gaga CD single with a free month of Roku?
Yeah, and and when you actually need to buy something, is anybody around? I don't think so. But then I think, I just think about like my experience in these stores and how quickly I just want to like get my thing and get out of there. And that's the window of time that my son has where he's allowed to touch an iPad.
Okay.
And that's like what he like checks it out, beats Star Fox or whatever his version of that is, and then I come back like, all right, come on. Now they couldn't get a vocal Sega on. Well, they got some FMVs though.
Yeah.
No, that is not the EverDrive. All of the games that we are playing are legally procured.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a video we're watching for educational purposes only.
Exactly. And these are backups also of things that we also own.
Absolutely.
I heard that Nintendo is cracking down on that. I assume that means Sega will start cracking down on it in never?
Well, this is actually on a real Sega. The Star Fox that we just played is on a real Super Nintendo.
Yes, that was a legitimate copy.
First time, huh, rookie? Now that's my main man. To ever shoot the I'll shut up. Maybe all the way to Solar City, huh?
So this was an attachment that went onto the Genesis.
Say what?
That played the CDs. It was an attachment.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see if I can break this a bit.
Got a smirk on his face. Till he hit the wall. They're out there now blotting him up with handy wipes. But the ghost here, I always come back for more. Let's go, rookie!
Oh man, I love what it does to video to make it look like this.
But it just might keep you off the wall.
Your call sign. Dog meat. All right, climb aboard, dog meat.
I love the digital pictures games. Corpse Killer was a good one too. Crash and burn, crash and burn. Sewer jockeys come and they go. But down here, this is the hole. I give you a name, a friend, a boss, and a reason to live. You're gonna owe me big dog meat. And what's my payback? 1,000,000 pounds of tube steak.
Pounds of tube steak.
That's all you gotta deliver today, hotshot. You nailed this one run, and we got a one-way ticket to Solar City. In the future, there are sewers.
You're good enough, dog meat.
Let's find out.
I'm your backseat disc strips. Don't screw up, huh? Hey, cat! Transmit that dirty little...
Real good now, Mr. Ghost.
So,
Catfish. Pilot access
paint the
file.
picture of you sitting
Run data.
and watching this game.
For the first time,
Or anytime.
it was 1990... 93.
Sucked the brains out.
So it was at the end of... It was... No, it was... I think, yeah, it was the beginning of 4th grade. I think. Because the Sega CD had been out for a bit. I was like, oh, I want one. I wish I had one. And for my sister's birthday, she used her money to get me a Sega CD,
What?
which was pretty neat. And this is the only game I had, but it blew my mind. And I knew that Sonic CD was going to be coming out soon. I think it was a couple months. I think it was August 93. I think. I can't remember when Sonic CD came out. I think it was September 93 or September 90. No, it was yeah, it had to have been like summer of 93. Because Sonic was my favorite thing in the world. I was obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog, and I knew Sonic CD was going to have actual animation and stuff in it. 3612? Is that what it said?
A whole new dimension of Sonic that had never before
Yeah.
been
And I
achieved.
still to this day think Sonic CD is the best Sonic game ever made.
We
like,
gotta
they
get that on here then.
This
Okay.
is cool.
This is incredible. I can't believe the Sega CD can process all this shit at once. It's amazing. Did you say your sister bought you a Sega CD?
Yep.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I was as surprised as you are. I think she and my mom went in on it together because they knew that I wanted one really bad.
They knew
My
you
birthday
wanted
was
one.
coming up a month later.
That is like, I mean, they could not have known the favor they were doing you.
Yeah, this is my favorite console of all time was the Sega CD. I know it's not the best, but it holds the most good memories of my childhood, I guess.
I mean,
I used to take the CD games that had the CD, because the CD game, 6612. Okay, sorry, I gotta remember those or I'll explode and die. And because this is the first system where games could actually have the music playing as a CD track and not just like a MIDI file or something like in a Super Nintendo game.
Right.
So I would put when I found out that you could put the CDs in a CD player and record the audio tracks, I would just carry a tape recorder around at school and listen to Sega CD music. And some of them were just the cut scenes of audio, so I would just sit at a thing and wait, have a recharge? Is that a recharge? Uh-oh. No, I shouldn't have gone that way. Oops.
I mean, I suppose like the games being on CD and the audio being recorded in that way was sort of the beginning of the end of MIDI game music at all. Once you could just play any recorded music,
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
give you the credits. It's awesome. Once you could start playing recorded music, it was not so important to synthesize the music through the sound tools of the console.
Yeah.
Catfish the whole hog.
But it was also part of just like this period that I don't think has really existed for a long time now. This period of extreme innovation from one year to another and from one console to another.
Yeah.
Where every time you played one of these, it was like you were stepping into a new dimension.
Yeah, the immersion. And people look at stuff now and they judge stuff from back in the day on current day standards. Like, oh, this is so dumb. Virtual Boy and Sega CD, they're so dumb. No wonder they fly. Like, no, like this was my life when I was a kid.
Yeah, it does, like, I mean, the evidence is mounting that that video games as a medium are getting buried faster than film was, than film is, and that the early years of film are better preserved and considered more valuable than the early eras of games.
Yeah.
Well, like in the early eras of games, a lot of games were really shitty, and like those games were thrown into like a giant landfill. Like, I feel like we still have landfills of games, just like in app stores and like e-shops and Steam.
There must have been a movie equivalent of that, though. Like somebody was just producing shit.
Oh,
The
yeah.
2020s.
In the 2020s. I mean, yes.
Like, AKA the 2020s. No, it's like
always.
you used to be able to go into a store and find video games. Now you go into video games and find a store. Like the microtransaction garbage and all that. Like it's just I don't know. I feel like certain 2 or 3 really big billion-dollar companies are like making not good video games.
Yeah.
And they're starting to realize that, like with Sony with their latest blunder with all that Concord stuff. Good God.
Yeah, so...
And all these games like microtransactions. We need a new skin. We need new skins and the cosmetics in the game store. Keep them coming back for more.
Yeah, I mean, does it though? Like, I guess is... And I'm not saying...
People who are addicted, yeah.
People who are addicted do. But they're squeezing...
Completists.
They're squeezing the audience for every last drop rather than focusing on the quality of the individual projects, and that just never seems like a good idea long term. It seems like the bottom is about to fall out of quite a few different forms of media, but the fact that there are so many layoffs in video games and thus so much brain drain on these studios and their ability to pass knowledge from one project to another, that it kind of seems like we're gonna get to a year where there is no AAA game that charts in people's memory at all.
I really do think the future of decent content is in crowdfunding. People paying for what they want instead of just waiting 3 years for billion-dollar company to make the next clone of whatever.
I mean, it does seem like it does make perfect sense that if people want something, they should be able to put their money directly toward the thing that they want.
Yep.
But
and knowing what they're gonna get with the right previews, and if a crowdfunded thing it starts to come out and it's stinky, people will be able to immediately tell the people we don't like this,
be able
and
to harass them directly.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
I fucked up.
That's my question then, because I feel like you and I came up on the internet around the same time.
Yeah.
And would you say it's fair that we got a bit of a head start on all of this?
I hope that we haven't already ultimately peaked in the world of like entertainment. I hope that there's still good stuff to come.
I do too, and I guess when it comes to crowdfunding, my main concern is that there's like 2 platforms to do it on, and eventually those platforms are going to realize that they can just take whatever percentage they want because nobody can get their project funded without them.
I mean, hell, even on streaming services like Twitch and whatnot, some of them are like the cut that Twitch and YouTube take. Like, good lord.
Yeah, the cut is a concern that these platforms that purport to be removing the barriers between creator and fan.
As long as you're paying half of your donations to them.
Yeah, exactly. They have become the barrier now. So what does somebody do short of depending heavily on these platforms?
Yeah, basically, yeah, and working twice as hard as they should. I mean, yeah, like they're providing your bandwidth and everything, but I still think it's way too big of a cut just to be streaming you on there. There's free streaming services. I don't care about having little farts and explosions come up when someone donates money to me. That's not worth them taking $33 out of a $100 donation. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I can just make the little farts and explosions myself.
Absolutely. Like, give me a notification, I'll bang a gong or something. But they do. YouTube does that. If you send a $100 super chat to someone, YouTube takes $30 of it.
Oh my god. And that's not exactly transparent to the person who sends it.
No, I mean, it's there if they go look it up, but it's like, you just sent them $100 minus $30 for fees.
Right. Oh my god.
Like, if there was a fixed fee or like a smaller percentage, sure. Like, I'm on Patreon, and because I was one of like the founders or whatever before 2019 or whatever, I'm grandfathered in at 5%.
Ah, so yeah. I suppose then that's the...
And I think other than that, it's like 8 or 10, which is still decent.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, but a lot of places, like even Twitch takes half.
Yeah, buyer beware. They are...
Like, if you subscribe to someone on Twitch, it's like $5 or $6 or whatever it is now, Twitch takes half of it.
Amazing.
But that's just the subscriptions, though. Like, if someone does a Streamlabs donation to you, I think you get, if not all of it. But
you get most, yeah.
They really got to work out these cuts, though, because that's 50%, even on a subscription, is wild. Someone gifts you $500 of subscriptions, Twitch takes $250 of it.
Unbelievable. And yeah, it's not immediately that information is not immediately obvious, like how much.
No, you have to kind of, it never like shows it in big text, like, oh, if you do this is going to come out of your account.
Yeah. No, because nobody would do it.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people are like, hey, I just don't want Twitch to take all of this money. Where do you want me to support you? And I'll tell them right on stream. I'll be like, Patreon is the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm concerned about Patreon as well. I
hope that they don't go to the dark side anytime soon. And they're not perfect. They've made their mistakes. But for a crowdfunding thing that's like organized, they're I would say, like, with my situation, my hookup, they're the best right now. TikTok is getting on that. You can subscribe to people on TikTok. I do not currently know the cut that they take, though. Probably not good.
I'm gonna guess not great. TikTok.
If anyone in the chat can answer that, like,
Yeah,
what
if
cut
anybody,
they take of their
anybody
patronage
knows.
subscriptions.
Somebody says that the coffee has the best money model.
Yeah, I don't think coffee takes any. The Ko-Fi, coffee. I don't think they take any. But I think they're owned by PayPal as well, so they get their.
Oh yeah, it's just another way of PayPaling people. And then Patreon has a problem for NSFW. I mean, that's been a problem forever. That I mean, this is
Yeah, that's
this
where
is at the heart-
Subscribestar comes in.
This is at the heart of all of this. Is that there's like 3 payment processors, and they change their policy, and it affects it affects entire platforms.
Yeah.
Yes, no, this isn't Star Fox. This is, what is it, Sewer Surfer?
The Sewer Shark.
Sewer Shark. Yeah, that's because Fred vanquished Star Fox within 15 minutes. You're too late, I'm afraid. You'll have to watch the VOD instead. A lot of people you used to follow on TikTok now stream on YouTube. Well, I think TikTok, as far as I can tell, it is the platform that least wants you to link anybody to anywhere else. They don't want you going off of the platform, and they make it very hard to do. You need a certain number of subscribers just to link to one thing in your bio. Yeah, the Star Fox playthrough went fast. We did it right at the beginning. I did not expect it to go so fast. It was kind of amazing.
Yeah, did you know about the black hole thing?
Black hole thing.
He went through a black hole and skipped most of the game.
Yeah, no, I did not know you
The
could.
warp
I did
zone.
not know you could warp to the end of the game. Where was that?
Oh, did I mess up again? Damn it. Well, yeah. Smoosh.
I love watching these goddamn.
Does it really start me over at the very, very beginning?
There's the credits. Oh my god, I love this.
We were playing Left 4 Dead 2.
You go ahead and play something.
Okay, sure. We were doing Left 4 Dead 2, and at the end of that, it says, like, in memory of Joe, or whoever died.
Yeah, whoever didn't make it out.
All right,
That's just hilarious. Good stuff, though.
We have
let's
our
see.
setup this week is like so delicate. If one thing falls, this whole room just collapses. So nobody sneeze. Hello everyone. We get a lot of I've never, like, take this as you will, Fred. A lot of likely harassers coming into our chat. Is that just because they
Harassers? Are you getting harassed?
Well, no, everybody who it says that about so far has been perfectly nice. So I don't know if that's just because they've never been there before.
You mean it's just like a Twitch message saying that?
Yes. Yeah, it's just labeling them likely harasser, and then it's not allowing their...
I didn't know that was a feature.
Yeah, me neither.
Are you going to harass us? Is this harassment?
I don't know how to let them through, honestly, so...
Does this look like Harrisburg?
No, we're a couple hours out of Harrisburg here.
Finn, get it?
Ah. So like, this game starts out with you just killing
Is
a
this
bunch
the
of fish.
Master System version?
Yeah.
Why aren't you playing the Sega CD version?
I wanted to check this one out, but
That's
you're
fair.
right, I should play that.
I liked when you killed that photorealistic seahorse.
Well, what I wanted to play was the Game Gear one, but
Oh, the Game Gear one's so dope.
Mike said that the Game Gear wasn't working.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this version, but then there's also this. What'd I do? There's also the Sega CD one. I also want to see next.
I'm gonna since there's a lot more people in here now, I'm just gonna reintroduce everybody. So thanks for coming in for the first time, everybody. It's good to see you. This is a show that I, Meredith, and my brother Joe do called A Thingus to the Past. We do it every Wednesday night. And we just talk about weird shit from when we were younger and kind of allow memories to surface as the games provoke them in us. And it's a real delight having Fred on the show. He is our very first guest. And perhaps not the last. If we can keep this fragile tech system working, I think we're in business.
I'd love to come up here and introduce you all to the whole audio interface thing with multiple mics, and you wouldn't be able to use your USB mics with it. But actually, I think there is such a thing as a USB to XLR converter.
Oh, well,
XLR is that it's the round with the 3 holes in it that
Yes.
like regular like PA mics and stuff
Yes.
use.
Well, look, I'll sell these. I'll get some XLRs. It's time for an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a semi-decent XLR mic for like $40 or $50 off Amazon. They're not hugely expensive.
That's cheaper than these mics were.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Our guest Fred is for the 3 people who are in here for Thingus, is the creator of an animated series called A Fox in Space, which has been going for about 8 years now.
Yeah, give or take.
Yes.
So the first one came out in 2016, but I've been making little shorts and funnies of it for over 10 years. Golly, about 14 years now. But I'm hard at work on the 3rd episode. Just took a little break to do some merch. This is the first year of, like I said, like 8, 9, or 10 years that I've been doing this. This is the first year that I've done any kind of merchandise for anything.
Pretty incredible.
I've got the little prototype here.
We were admiring this excellent prototype that looks like it's destined for the printers pretty soon. I just assume
Yeah, they're
everything
going to
gets
be
printed.
sewing them up.
He's
He's
cute.
got 3 days left, but I'm thinking sometime next year I will do a little unnamed fox character with a Band-Aid on his back. It's a little episode 1 reference.
For all the real heads.
The wolf, there's a scene where they're in the elevator and the fox is complaining about something, and the wolf guy picks a Band-Aid off of his nose and he can't get it off of his finger, so he's just like, don't worry, buddy, blah, 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 and like pats him on the back. And
as far as we know, it's still there.
Yeah, for the rest of the episode, wherever he goes, you see the little Band-Aid stuck to his back.
We haven't seen him since, so
It could still be
still
there.
there.
Yeah, episode 3. I think I'm gonna have Andros like while Fox is talking to someone, Andros just kind of like turns and looks at his back and just picks it off, and maybe he like gets it stuck to his finger, and Wolf's like, well, sir, I'm gonna go and take care of that for you, and he's just like, all right, break a leg, and pats Wolf on the back, and it's stuck to his finger.
And
That would be pretty
the
funny.
next part of its journey continues.
This does
Would
sound
be well
really
deserved.
good.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
This is cool.
Echoes chill. So someone in the chat asks, how is development on part 3 going? Do you think you'll meet the 30 minutes in 3 years goal?
It depends on how much I can give to other people, like how much in-betweening I can give to other people. I took a couple months off to animate ads and do some shorts and stuff, so it'll probably take a little longer. And as I always say, it's, full transparency. I don't ever want to like, oh, we'll get it. And then at the last minute, sorry, something just happened. Like if I'm in the middle of something and it's looking like my original estimate is not going to be as good as it was, I will immediately tell anyone. I don't bullshit anybody. But you come into my streams and you can see I'm always working on it. I'm always trying to teach more people how to do in-betweens and stuff. I'm also kind of starting to work on the violence. I just got my first model back for it of the main character, and I'm doing some tests with it. But I'm like, the ad for the plush thing is done. I've already started back on the next scene for episode 3. It's just, I'm going to have to take another month or 2 off to buckle in and teach my in-betweeners how to, in-betweening is where you do every other frame of animation and then they go in and fill in the missing even frames.
Absolutely.
Like onion skinning, like the one frame is in blue and the other frame's in red, and then they go in and draw the one in between to make the animation smoother. And I'm teaching people how to do that right now. No! It's people who already know how to in-between, but they've never used Blender before. And it's a very, very, very big jump to something completely different. Yeah, it took me years to figure out, but Rex, who was here, I taught him how to do everything in Blender in like 3 days. It was 3 very intense, long days, hours and hours, but by the end of those 3 days, he was already starting on his own animation, so it just takes some people a little bit of focus to be able to sit.
It took me 2 years before I was ready to really learn it. Like 2 years of like trying and failing and giving up and like messing with Blender and other ways and dabbling with grease pencil and just taking it very little by little. Like I started with that reflection video where I did the poses with grease pencil.
Well, I hope you felt like you started learning faster when you started hanging out with us.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, it did take a bit of discipline.
It takes a good bit of that because you can get on there and buckle down for 4 hours and learn everything and be content and be like, oh, there, I know everything. And then you never open Blender again for like 3 months. And then you're like, I'm going to go back and do it again. And you open it up and you've completely forgotten everything.
It's so much better to use these programs when you have something specific to make with them. Yeah. And then you're forced to learn them through the process.
And keep opening it up every day. The most important thing you can do after you learn everything in Blender is the next day when you get up, immediately open it up again and go over everything that you learned. If you don't do that for at least a couple days or a week, you're going to forget everything. But yeah, like back to episode 3, I'm still working on it every day and animating and adding stuff and writing. Excuse me. I would say I have about 85% of the first half of episode 3 written and scripted out. I have all of it written and scripted out except for the dialogue. The dialogue is what I'll take a little extra time. I have all of the complete... I went over it in stream, and a couple people even said that they were tearing up just what I was reading, because the first half, it's going to be in 2 parts. I don't know if I'm going to release it in 2 parts yet, but the first half of it's looking like it's going to be like 30-something minutes long.
Do you record scratch tracks on these of your own voice? Like
just like placeholders?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had, like, not for all of these yet, but like when I get ready to send someone the voice acting lines, like, here's what I want you to say. I will record my lines and then I'll do their lines as close to their voice, even if it's a girl or whatever. I'll be like, I don't think that though. Like, I'll do it in the way that I want them to sound and send it to them. So, so if I want them to be like, hey, don't go in there. And if you just send them the script, they might be, don't go in there. They don't know which word is stressed. There's a lot of Japanese video games translated to English where that happens. It's like,
I mean, Joe and I complain about bad voice acting all the time, and I gotta say, like, the thing that really caught me about your work the first time I saw it was that you do seem to understand the art of voice acting and how to give characters voices that seem authentic.
Well, thank you. It's something that it's one of the things I spend the most takes on is getting. If it doesn't sound quite right, I will sit there and do it 30 times. And it's why I usually don't hire random ass people to do voices. It's usually people I know or I'm at least familiar with who don't mind getting it just absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like House of the Dead 2. We're meeting G over there.
Yeah, no, I really take issue with the way characters are voiced, and I think a lot of the problem is, you can't necessarily blame the voice actors. A lot of the problem is directors who don't necessarily know what they
90% of the time it's a director being like, or the voice acting director being disconnected from the game director, and they give you the lines and you're like, I don't think it's supposed to be said this way, and they're just like, just do it the way it says. And you're like, all right, and you do it, and then the game comes out and you're like, it sounds wrong, they should have listened to me. And everyone in the comments going like that, I think they stressed the wrong word there, and they're just like, oh no, that's the way the director said to do it. It's like, well, can I speak to the manager?
Yeah, I mean, we're tasked with the job of breathing life into things that are not alive, and every step that you neglect to do that is a shade less alive your characters are going to seem. It's
yeah. Well, if the more perfect and immersive that your voice lines and your acting gets, the easier it is to break that immersion with a bad one. It's like being on a perfect streak and then goofing up. It sucks even more than if you're doing a mediocre job and goofing up a little bit. Then people have a little pity on you. I think you talk to them. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want people's pity. I want their adoration. But yes, people are more forgiving. People are more forgiving when you're really giving your all to every detail. I don't see the point otherwise.
God, I haven't played this game in so long.
Yeah, I used to vanish into Echo the Dolphin on Game Gear for, the duration of the time before the Game Gear battery went out, which was like 3 seconds.
Or the 6 AA's. Mm-hmm. They last about 20, 30 minutes, I think. I got batteries for my Game Gear once.
Oh, yeah.
And back when 6 AA batteries were like 2 allowances.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we would sit in an armchair where the plug was and play the Game Gear. That was where you had to play it. It was not an actual portable device.
Oh, yeah. It was plugged in.
Yeah, remember the armchair?
The armchair, yeah, of course.
Animation is a terrifyingly daunting task. Well, it is incredibly labor intensive, and from I think Fred has sketched out pretty vividly how skimping on any of these details results in a low quality product. I think it seems like your audience does understand this, and they know that quality is worth waiting for, especially from a proven creator. And if it takes all year or all decade or whatever the hell, it got made, and there's like value beyond anything else in the reality that something got made and exists in the world.
Yeah, back when I was working on Flash cartoons and stuff like 15, 20 years ago, I never finished anything. I would get tired of working on a project. And I think it was just a lot of, undiagnosed ADHD. I would get through and want to work on something else. It's like, okay, I learned some new stuff. I want to use these new bits of knowledge and technique to make something new. So I would abandon a Flash cartoon and start working on a different one. And people knew me for a while. They're like, oh, that's Frederick Fox. It's a guy who never finishes any of his cartoons. But I was also making them for free and working 14 hours a day. And I worked my ass off until I got into, it got where I could actually make something with crowdfunding. And then it was a different type of working my ass off. Instead of scrubbing toilets and spraying for bugs in air ducts and stuff, it was sitting in a chair and drawing the things and animating the things that I wanted to do. So when I got that chance, I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to finish it. I don't care how many years it takes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's good in a developing artist's life to abandon early projects rather than attempting to make their masterpiece too early. You need to get to a point where your skills are developed and you are able to filter bad ideas out quickly. And it's just not possible to have that from the jump. And it's good to abandon things, even if ultimately you look back and say, I'm proud of that.
Especially if you look back and go, yeah, that cartoon was actually going nowhere, and I'm glad I didn't finish it. And same thing with getting a Patreon. I matured over time, and even back when Patreon first came out, people were like, oh, Fred, you should get the Patreon. Like, even back then, I knew if I had gotten that Patreon, I would have ruined my reputation. I would have gotten distracted and been like, oh, I don't want to work on this anymore, guys. Sorry. and that's people giving you money, and it's ruining your reputation. So I waited and waited and waited until one day I felt ready, on top of being a little wine drunk and 5 friends in a Skype call being like, Fred, do it. This looks good. I know you can do this. I was like, all right. And I went and made an account, and it got up to like $1,000 a month in the first day. I got to quit my shitty gas station job, and I was like, okay, Matt, you're 30. If this is going to start, that's more than enough money for you to just, barely get by. And I did. I got by on like $1,000 or $1,200 a month or so for the year or two that it took to make episode 1. And then after that came out, then it was, like $2,000 or $2,500 a month. And I could, I bought a 13-foot Shasta Deluxe camper, and it was propped up next to the creek on my mom's property in Tennessee.
Really?
And that's where I was staying while I finished episode 1.
Can you describe the camper a little bit?
It was a 13-foot Shasta Deluxe. It wasn't like an RV or anything. It was something you hitch on the back of a car.
You could put it on like a regular sized car?
You'd probably want a strong truck to. I don't know if you have access to a computer. Just type in 1969 Shasta
1969
Deluxe, and it is one of those little white-red things that's got a trailer hitch on it. It's 13 feet long.
Beautiful.
It had a tiny little sink and a gas oven. That's terrifying. But
yeah, geez.
But it was a little it was made in 1969 or 68. I don't remember what the guy said.
The systems worked. It was
it was perfect condition. Everything in it worked. Like I said, the oven was a little iffy sometimes.
Sure.
But I made
you could
meatloaf.
Go in and use Mom's real quick and.
Yeah, I could have, but I chose to use mine. Like, and she was like right there. I could just walk up from the creek and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna make a big meal tonight. Can I borrow your oven?" But I still just kind of preferred to use my own. It's like you have your own, you want to use it. It's like even if it's a tiny little studio apartment, it's your studio apartment. And I was happy to have that. And then I finished episode 1, and I got a little bump in my Patreon for that, and I got to go rent a place down the street. It was way bigger than I needed because I never used any of the rooms. I just had that one room where I sat up there animating all the time.
And you were so used to living in the camper.
Yeah, I was just like, this is too much room.
Was Mom a little sad when the camper days ended?
No, I mean, I only moved like 8 minutes up the road. I still came over every day. She was really upset when I moved to Canada.
Sure, sure.
That came later. But,
Sure.
I got married and I was like, yeah, it's just, there was nothing in Tennessee. I had no friends to hang out with, and everyone was either 7 years old or 70 years old. And I just met somebody and moved up there, and I have friends and a comfortable place to set roots. It's the longest I've lived in one location. And I can be left alone and stay in my workroom and work on my cartoons. That's all I really do. It sounds sad, but it's what I want to do.
I mean, it sounds. I mean, you know, you kind of like, you know.
I still go outside and get sunlight every now and
I mean, yeah, no, you said it was just one line of one sentence where you said that you met somebody you wanted to spend your life with and met all the people that you felt a sense of belonging with. So, you know, in addition to that, being able to make your cartoons.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds beautiful. It's a lovely story. It sounds like your mom and your sis were really rooting for you. And,
yeah, she didn't like seeing me go, but I have nothing to tell my mom anymore except for good news. Like, hey, I'm getting this paid off. Hey, my credit score is over 700. Hey, I've got this paid off. Or this little dude that I'm selling right here, I'm about to pay off my car and the rest of our mortgage with it. Granted, I came in a little late on the mortgage, but there's only.
But they were like, that's okay.
Yeah.
They didn't mind. We got lots of money. We don't mind.
But it's just, you know, instead of being like, I just bought a $8,000 One Piece figure, and you know, it's like
it's all about supporting the dream.
I just I never had the best money spending habits when I was a kid. It's like, I just got $500 for my birthday. Video games, and it's all gone. Nowadays, it's just like, I want new kitchen appliances. I want to pay off my debt and pay off the car. And I'm glad I feel that way, because I was not always like that. Even in my 20s, I was not very good with money. That's one of the things that made me nervous about getting a Patreon back then. I was like, oh man, this would be so great and I could do it. But the little voice in the back of my head's like, you're not good enough with money yet. You're going to ruin your reputation. And I listened to that voice until just the right time. I think I held out long enough.
You did not throw caution to the wind. I mean, I think this may be reassuring to people who might just see the straight and easy line of these films being made and your success being assured. That it's kind of a long road.
Oh, you almost had it, Joe.
This is a very pretty Sonic game. I didn't expect it to look like the old Sonic games.
Yeah, the prettiest thing about this game is the music. And yeah, like Nico said, building an audience is very hard work. I'm still building mine. And what I would tell anyone, if you want to build an audience right now on YouTube in the world of the algorithm, you start by doing fan stuff. Make a fan animation. If it's Game Grumps animated, or you're doing something about Five Nights at Freddy's, or something that is popular right now. Do not pick Star Fox. Don't pick F-Zero. Don't pick a thing that's not popular right now. Like, Star Fox is not a perfect choice, but it's what I wanted to do as a kid. As a kid, I was like, I want a Star Fox animated cartoon. And if no one else does it, I want to do it, even if it's on my little Post-it note flip books from Sam's Club.
Oh, people are saying no game See if I can fix it.
Stand by.
Please stand.
Oh
by.
no!
Oh no!
I fix.
I hope to fix.
But Bill, start with memes and popular franchises doing fan art and things until you start getting noticed and building your fan base. And when you think that you've built up enough viewers and engagement and whatnot, then start putting out little things from your own brain, like completely original stuff. And, it's not going to magically take off. Not everybody can make a murder drones or a digital circus or whatever. But you can build up that. Like my other cartoon, The Violence. I'm pretty sure that when I'm done with A Fox in Space, and it's like that's all episode 3 done, I'm going to move on to this other thing. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a somewhat significant drop in money on my Patreon, but as long as it's enough for me to live on, I'm going to stick with it.
That's a frightening thing, and
Yeah, it's terrifying, but and it's not like if the money gets down a little too low, I'm not gonna be like, okay guys, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to Star Fox. Like I'm not gonna do that. If I have to go get a part-time job at Walmart or something, I'm gonna do that because I know you haven't heard about The Violence. The Violence is a series I've been writing for about 7 or 8 years, and I'm just about ready to start on the first episode. And when I get to the second half of A Fox in Space 3, I'm gonna start just carefully migrating over to the first episode of The Violence. So by the time that I'm done with A Fox in Space episode 3, I've already got a good chunk of episode 1 of The Violence done. So I can, just step off of one platform and onto another.
I mean, it sounds like you've really thought it through more than as much as anybody.
It's all I do all day. It's all I do. I sit at home and I write in Notepad and doodle thumbnails and storyboards and block out the scenes, and everything, just like you do for a comic book. Mm-hmm. And it's getting there. It's not ready yet, but it's getting closer, and I'm gonna spend, the next 2, 3, 4 years or whatever on A Fox in Space, the last one.
Is that number 3 is the last? And then it's time to move on.
Yeah, to do my own thing. And it's scary to think about, because I'm afraid people will be like, well, okay, it's over. Good luck with whatever this thing is.
I mean, my experience...
Pulling out their funding.
I mean, it's possible. My experience of moving from a 10-year webcomic to exclusively doing game development is that people will go and people will come. And
you also have your iron tight diehard fans that will. That's another thing. Like I have a lot of fans and supporters who are like, dude, I don't fucking care what you do. I'm here for it. If it's The Violence or Fox in Space, I just like your style. That's always a good feeling.
Those are the people who, like, as long as they live, they will never find something that quite hits the way your work hits.
I hope so. I hope that's how it is.
Those people are like, well, those people are the solid core of the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's always more people who see your work as a breath of fresh air. They can't believe they never saw it before. It is amazing who you haven't reached. Like you spend enough time on the internet and you think like, surely everybody who's interested in what I do must have seen it by now. But there is an endless number of people who can be interested and will wonder what they did all their life before they found it. I think that softens the blow a bit when it's time to move on, knowing that what you do next is going to be somebody's favorite thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Alan Alice asks, how do you know when your idea that you have is something that's going to work out versus just a random idea of the moment? I don't immediately, but I've said this before. Anytime I have any idea, I have a little keyboard shortcut. You make a shortcut to a text file on Windows desktop. You hit right click in properties and you set a hotkey like Control Alt X or whatever. And whenever you have an idea, you hit Control Alt X and it instantly brings up that text file. You type it in there, hit Control S and save it and close it and go back to your day. That's my version of having a post-it pad clipped to my belt.
I love that.
I'll be working on, I'll be playing a video game or something, and I'll get an idea, or me and my friends will be in the game, we'll joke about something. I'll be like, someone will say the magic words, like, dude, you need to write that down. You need to make a skit out of that. I'll hit Control Alt X. It'll just pop up Notepad, and at the very top, I'll just type in, guy eats a hamburger and cries into his fries, or just whatever random funny idea it was.
Yes.
And then hit Control S, save, and then Alt F4, just and close it, and then go back to the game. And I've been doing that for about 8 years, and I have about
one text file.
half a megabyte. Half a megabyte of text does not sound like a lot, but
No.
then these aren't like full scripts. This is just like 3 or 4 sentences is an entire idea of a scene or a whole concept of lore or something. And I have like 450 something kilobytes of just that in raw Notepad text for 8 years. If I lost it, I would instantly go outside and headbutt a Mack truck on the
I
interstate.
was
That
gonna
is
say.
like 8 years. I mean, I have it backed up, printed out on like 7 different computers on 7 different backup websites. Like, it's fully backed up, but that's like 8 years now of my entire Bible of the violence. My violence Bible.
Such a file in the
But,
right hands could be worth a pretty penny.
Actually,
wouldn't you
yeah.
say?
Actually, there's a lot of ideas and quotes and jokes and funny things in there. I could probably sell that for large amounts of money if people had any idea. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it's genius or whatever, but it's 8 years of a moderately creative person's thoughts and ideas all put down in a file, and it's more than enough to write several seasons of the
And
violence.
somebody could perhaps steal that and hold all of your
Possibly,
ideas for ransom.
but a lot of it is in shorthand that only I understand.
That's
A lot of it isn't, though. A lot of it is still like people would read it and be like, wow, this is actually a good concept. But a lot of it is like I'm in such a hurry writing it down, and I'll come back and look at it later and be like, what is it? Oh, right, yeah. Every now and then I'll go back and open up the file and go through and find the ones that I almost barely couldn't understand and flesh them out. It's like, I almost lost this one. I almost didn't remember this one, and I'll flesh it out. Be like, what I meant by this was blah, blah, blah. So then later, if it does fully fade from my mind, I have the more fleshed out one. That's another thing. Like, when you occasionally, like once a month or once every couple months, go through your whole file and go back and find things that were a little too vague and flesh them out a little bit. Or even if you have an idea, you're like, it's not fully formed, write it down anyway.
Sure.
Write it down anyway, and then you'll find it maybe even a year later when you do your regular checkup through the file and scroll through and find it. You'd be like, oh, he wouldn't say this, he would do this thing and change a little bit. And you're like, and that's what causes this, and that idea up there, that's why he gets sad and sings that song. And you'll find little ideas and connect them and stuff. And I've been doing that for 8 years.
Absolutely.
And some ideas I'll look at and be like, oh, that's dumb, but you never delete them. Even if you go back, you're like, oh, I was a little high when I wrote that. That's kind of dumb. Don't delete it. Never delete anything. Because you can come back later and be like, that's kind of dumb, but if I change it to this, it's perfect for the frog character in Act 4 or whatever. Like, you'll find ideas you wrote down for one character that after you've developed it, it doesn't work for that character anymore, and you're like, well, that's not going to work. That's the continuity's fucked there, so I'm going to delete that. Don't delete it. You can change a couple words and descriptions in it and make it for a completely different character.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great example of like refining your own process of filtering out the bad ideas from the good. If you write down a bad idea, so what? You will learn through experience which ideas are good and which are bad. Part of that, I think, is also interacting with your audience and giving work to your audience and getting feedback on it. So don't, if you've never given your work to an audience, then don't worry about getting this shit right on the first try.
Absolutely not.
You will find out what people react to.
And don't surround yourself with yes men. Don't surround yourself, even if they're your best friends in the world. If all they tell you is it's perfect, don't listen to them. They're just hateful. Everything about it is perfect. Like you can't do that. You can't do that. And Stephen King had a good point where if you want criticism on an idea you have or a story or a scene, you send it out to 10 people. If each person out of those 10 people gives you a completely different criticism, you're probably good. But if 5, 6, or 7 of those 10 people kind of tell you the same thing, like, oh, this guy, you shouldn't have him do that, you should probably listen to them.
Yeah, that's what I've learned from play testing, is that I can get excellent
You gotta destroy those.
From, this looks awesome. I love. How does this feel to play?
It's very, very difficult. It's like you're using someone else's legs.
Oh man.
But yeah, you have to destroy all the UFOs to get the Chaos Emerald.
Yeah, no, I think it absolutely is true that if there is something glaringly wrong, the crowd will notice. In terms of like day-to-day feedback, there are very few people that I give my work to until I'm ready for that. Maybe 2 people tops get to see things before they're ready for a little bit more of a mess.
I have my small list. Joe's in the little group chat I've got where I have like 10 people. I'm like, hey, what do you guys think? What is it missing? Or I'll be like, oh, are his eyes too close together? Is the pause between the joke and the punchline too long? Or like little things like that. I'll put together a scene where there's a comedic pause, and it might be a little too long, and your friends will tell you that if it's somebody who's well versed in comedy. Like if there's something where I want to know, is this comedic pause a little too long between the waiting and the splat and the scream or whatever, I would send that to Joe. Because I know Joe is really, really good at comedic timing and everything that he does.
If I make Joe laugh, I know I'm doing okay.
That's another thing. If you're in a room with a bunch
Joe's happy. That means we're doing good.
You're giving me too much. Fuck off, Joe. Jinx. Oh, we did it wrong.
Oh man.
That's the kind of Joe that I have to be.
Okay, so we all watch this video like every couple of days, right?
At least once a month for me.
Yeah.
I want to get Drew to voice one of the characters in episode 3.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
He's the animator on that. The voice actor, the Minute Hour. The Minute Hour is the guy who does the voice in that scene. Drew Langlois animates it, but I have both of them set up. Minute Hour has already said that he'll do a voice with me. I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff that we did together or we voiced together.
No.
Ethereal Snake. He's an animator. He did like the Mickey and Goofy in Vietnam cartoons. Did you ever see those?
No, I'm not familiar.
He did like Jesus. It's funny.
The one where Jesus beats the shit out of everyone with kung fu. I don't know.
That sounds familiar.
Like
That's
Judas
also the
is
Minute Hour.
wearing a wire under his shirt, and he's like, "We need him to. I'm the Son of God."
It's like, wait a minute, you were calling it the Last Supper. You fucking knew.
Yeah, you've got to watch those. But yeah, like we've all worked together on a couple of those, and I talked to him one night. I've got a character I want him to voice, and the animator for that I haven't talked to him yet. There's some people that aren't as easy to get a hold of, and I feel super intimidated to ask them.
Well, go right ahead and ask them now.
Well, the thing is, if it's someone I'm dealing with that I don't talk to on a regular basis, because Minute Hour, like we talk to each other on Discord every now and then, some of the other people who are really, really well known and super busy and super famous with like 1 million subscribers and stuff, or actual Hollywood actors that I'm going to approach to voice something in episode 3, I'm not going to try and approach them until I have all of the lines and placeholders ready to go. Because otherwise it's like, will you do a voice in my cartoon thing? And they're like, yeah, sure. And you're like, yeah, he said yes. And then you work on it for 4 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm here.
pitiful.
They're going to be like, wait, who are you? What? Like, I'm sorry.
I lived an entire life. Why are you talking to me? I'm old.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat asked, somebody who works as a commercial illustrator, asks about like holding down a day job and then finding the energy to make work when you come home.
Have a routine when you come home. When I worked 14 hours a day as a pest control technician, 6 days a week, and like sometimes my drive to my job was 2 hours and then 2 hours home because it was Chicago, and I would come home right at rush hour, so it would be like 2 hours drive home, 2 hours drive there, and then like a 9 or 10 hour shift. I would come home, I would have to just like soak my legs in the bathtub because my feet were so damn sore from like crawling through air ducts and stuff. And but I did it. It just, you come home, you have to relax, take a shower, clean up after work or whatever, do whatever you can to feel extremely comfortable and relaxed, dim the lights down, find an album or an ambient focus, ADHD focus music playlist or something. You know the ones I'm talking about. And get in the mode and make it a routine. And if you make it that kind of routine, you will enjoy it. You will get dopamine from like, oh yeah, I did my thing when I got home, crack my knuckles, it's time to do the thing. And it won't happen on the first day, but this solution will not work for every single person. This is just based on what I know, what I did. This is before I had any hopes of ever having a Patreon where people supported me, and I felt like I was going to have this job for the rest of my life.
I worked as a commercial artist for I moonlighted on Octopus Pie for a few years during the webcomics run, and I would do like TV animation, and
That's awesome.
I think it was the shows I was making I was not particularly excited about, but it was easier for me to do that sort of work than crawl through air ducts and deal with pest control problems. But I think that it is important, and I mean, I guess it's easier said than done. But if you're finding that for years you're struggling to get going on that side project, then it's possible that, I'm not saying everything about it needs to be thrown away, but it's possible that you're not excited about it enough. And I really don't mean that in a negative way. I think that when
the way that Charles Bukowski said, "Don't try." That's it. It's like if you're having to try really, really too hard to do a thing, and you hate it and you're not enjoying it, you're like, but it's the thing I've got to do. It might not be.
No.
That doesn't mean you have to like quit it for good and become a basket weaver or anything. But yeah, like you said, flip it the other way. Do a refresh. Wipe the slate clean for a few days or change some big aspect of your story or your approach and try to like do a test run. Like try to find out what works for you.
I sometimes put it in these terms where wait. How do I put it? I think that it kind of has to be something that you're desperately obsessed with. I think it needs to be like it needs to feel like if you've got like this like like ragged little piece of skin on your finger
Oh,
and you
this-
just like pull it off and it's great. Like it has to feel like that.
Yeah. The F-14 Tomcat, caged lightning with $1 million miss. Okay, I'll quit. I had Afterburner 3. This game rocks.
Cool.
Just you and your F-14.
Yeah, I think it's worth evaluating whether the project that you would like to do is the project that you need to do. And if you need to do it, I'm not saying it will be easy to fit it into your routine, but it will make it so that you are looking for ways to move your life around to make room for it. And at that point, I think you can do it.
Yeah, I'm addicted at this point. Like, even being on a trip away from work, just having fun with my friends, after about 9 or 10 days, I start itching. Not literally, but like in my brain, I'm like, I need to get back to my thing. Even if I bring my laptop with me and I can do some work, it's like, this is nice, but I need to get back home. I need to sit down and get back to my thing and work on my thing. And sometimes, even when I'm sick of animating, I'll smoke a little weed or something and just turn the lights down low and open up Notepad and just continue writing. And I'll not that I have to write, but it's just, if it's a night where I'm like, I just animated in-betweens in Blender for 9 hours, but I don't want to go to bed yet. I want to work on some writing. And if I don't do that, if I don't feel like writing, I'll have a musical thing on my mind and start working on incidental orchestrated music for different scenes that could exist.
It's true that if you control multiple aspects of a production, you're never going to get burnt out or bored because you can always
switch to something else.
Yeah, I feel
I wouldn't
that
want
way.
to just be an in-betweener on something. I'd have to do... I mean, even if that's your job and you do in-betweens on someone else's work, you can still pull out a napkin and doodle your own little blocking of scenes and stuff or something else if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I have weeks where I'm just obsessively writing and then I feel it falling away. And that's when I start to program or do artwork or something because it's just its time has passed. And you try to catch those waves when you're feeling that strongly because
It does come in waves too.
Yeah.
Sometimes a wave won't come for months. So that's how I am with music. Music for me anymore, like the last time I was truly fully like wired into coming home from work and immediately sitting down and doing music stuff was 2012. Part of it is having the room. If I'm cramped in a tiny little place and I've got my MIDI keyboards up and down here, I can make stuff if I have to. If it's like, okay, the scene goes out tomorrow, I need to make a thing and do this, I can do that. But like writing out a musical or a suite of music or something, I haven't felt that in like 12 years.
You haven't had a room of your own for music in a while.
Well, I have my workroom down in the basement, but it's not as big as I'd like it to be. It's not that I need all of it filled with stuff. I like a lot of empty space around me when I have the keyboard there. So, like I said, when we get our mortgage paid off, I can look for, I don't need a big fancy house. All I want out of a house is a tiny room where I sleep, and then a big giant room where all my drawing stuff and my music stuff is. I just want a workshop and then a tiny bed.
Love that for you. And fingers crossed that you get that soon.
Yeah, it'll be in the next year or so, hopefully.
I used to, I've talked about this a little with Joe, but I used to seek out a change of place all the time. When I was in my 20s in Brooklyn, I would, I'd be like, I just can't write in here. I'm going to go to a coffee shop. And, I would sort of like waste my time a lot of the time looking for another place. And now that my life is way too busy for that, and I simply need to be productive in the small.
You have to
window of
learn
time.
to nail yourself down, or a compromise is you get addicted to feng shui of your workroom. I was like, I can't focus. What if the keyboard and the music stuff was over there and my computer was over here? And you do it, and then for like a week or two, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm great. Yeah. And it feels like the same old underwear again.
It refreshes the It refreshes the
creative
enthusiasm.
spirit.
Yeah, it does something for sure. Just a subtle change. Yeah, I'll tidy up all the brown leaves on my plants every once in a while, and that does the trick. It's true. Like I need so little to get comfortable. I sit down in my workspace, and I said this to Joe. I can't remember who said this originally, but I once heard a syndicated cartoonist say that they no longer wait for their muse. Now they shoot it out of the sky. And
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
the muse does not come down to them anymore. I feel that way, that I've found a variety of ways that I'm probably just internalizing and not fully aware of anymore, where I can make the thoughts happen when I need them to.
Right.
And I don't know about you. I mean, obviously this is the case for you, but like the ideas don't stop after I get up from my desk. Like when I'm living my life, the ideas are coming all the time. I don't know if I would call that work, but I guess because this is
As long as you're remembering them and writing them down somewhere.
Yes. Not letting
That's
them
the
just...
important part. There is nothing... David Lynch, he says that the only thing in the world that would put him close to committing, canceling his subscription to Life magazine. The only thing in the world that gets him close to that is when he thinks of an idea that's awesome and then forgets it before he can write it down. He says that is the worst and most inconsolable of a thing that can happen to someone. And I believe it. It's like when you have a dream, and like there was one night that I had, and I eventually a couple years later remembered it and fixed it, but for a couple years I didn't, or like at the beginning of it, I had an idea that tied all of the loose ends of my story for the next episode of my thing together, and it became this like, and that does this, and this is why this guy is trying to steal the thing, because he's building this, and that's why this character, and they go here and like it all just
Yes!
falls into place. And then I didn't write it down and forgot all of it.
You forgot all of it? Like you never remembered it?
No, like I said, a couple years later,
I see.
a couple years later, I remembered most of it, and I know it's like, I know this wasn't what it was, but I guess this works.
Man.
But yeah, I forgot to write it down, and yeah, David Lynch was right. I sat there for days, just please, it's this, it's come on, I know what it was. Or it's like having an awesome dream where you almost cry when you wake up and you just have this grin on your face like, I dreamed that and that was awesome, and then it fades and fades in an hour, and then you don't remember it, and you forget it so hard that you're not even sad about it because you don't even remember how good it was. But for everything falling together for your story, all that I remembered was it was perfect, and I almost cried because of how perfect it was, and now I can't remember it. And knowing that I was that satisfied with it, whatever it was, and now I've forgotten it, that was enough to almost make me cry and want to cancel my subscription.
You can't share that one. That is like, is that really how David Lynch put it?
No, he literally said if when that happens, it makes him want to, not like seriously, but he said that's literally how he put it.
Yeah.
Without wording it exactly the way he did on a Twitch stream, so I don't want anybody to get in trouble. But that's literally what he said in an interview, and I understand it completely.
Yeah, that's it is true. Like,
it's extremely frustrating at the very least.
It's very easy to let things fall through, like sand through your fingers.
Yeah.
That's why you got to have that shortcut to bring up your notepad file.
That's right. My version of what you're talking about is like I email things to myself, and then I just have a whole bunch of emails that just sit in there until I do something with them.
A message to yourself on Discord. Or anything, because Discord, it just keeps everything forever. I have a cell phone account, just like if I need to be on a cell phone and like show my camera to someone, and then I have my regular account, And what I do on my regular account, anytime I have an idea or I'm out on the road or something, I'll just type it to my other account and be like, don't forget to put this in your file when you get home. And then, every couple weeks I'll open that, drag, highlight the whole thing, copy, open up my main text file and paste it in there. And then I don't have to worry about it.
That's like just a little bit of mental hygiene right there.
Like a dictation machine. You have the little micro, like, Diane, don't let me forget to blah, 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 blah. Like, my little notepad is basically the computer version of a dictation machine.
Right. You used to need a beautiful woman to follow you around with a full typewriter set. Yeah.
A stenographer.
Stenographer, yes. So we got about 15 minutes left on the stream. We're going to put you out of your misery. How's the air in here, by the way? Are we feeling okay?
I'm okay.
I'm good. Like, I'm sorry if you run cold.
No, I'm okay.
All right.
Like I was like when I was playing Star Fox and Sewer Shark, I was like, oh, it's my fault though. I'm wearing blue jeans and a long sleeve shirt.
I mean, I thought you were just like giving your all to the game.
Well, there's that too.
So usually toward the end of the show, Joe and I talk about our heroes and villains of the week, who are just people who like inspired us, or people that we just like we can't stand this shit anymore. So I put it to you, Fred. If you have anyone in mind that...
I don't know their names, but the executives of the current huge video game companies that are bringing everything down. Those are my villains right now. All the people that they're...
this week?
The EA and Ubisoft and Apple that are all like, yes, we're getting rid of a lot of people and replacing them with AI, and we're going to put generative AI in our video games, and... It's just like, that's kind of got me down for the past week or two.
Those guys seem to be the villain more and more.
Yeah, they're instead of using money to make good video games, they're using video games to make good money. And
only for themselves.
Yeah. It was like I said earlier, what was it, like you used to walk into a store and find a bunch of video games. Now you walk into a video game and find a bunch of stores, and I hate how that's going.
Yeah, the enshittification rolls on.
Yeah, enshittification. I've been hearing that a lot.
Yeah. I want to give a hero shout out. I've talked about co-hosts a lot. They were a social media blogging platform that went read-only this week after threatening to run out of money for a very, very long time. It was sort of inevitable, but the developers brought an ethos that is so incredibly rare in modern website design, and that I feel personally like I'm going to be taking with me, because the experience of being on co-host was so special and reminded me of that old internet where everything was kind of like one big talent show, and if you came and showed what you got, there was a place for you.
Yeah, it was like record companies back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're like, we got this weird act, and they do this weird stuff, and then the guy with the big cigar was like, hey, let them do an album. Let's see what they got. And they do that, and you don't do that anymore.
There's no more cigar-chomping executives who are like, yeah, let's let this weird guy make something.
Now it's all like these, I don't know, people who troll people on Twitter, and they're like, is it lucrative? Is it in the algorithm? Put it in the algorithm. Sorry, algorithm says no. Like
I feel like the cigar chomping, guy who I suppose we just have a vague caricature idea of what he was, but I feel like there used to be more of a separation between the money guy who didn't really understand the art.
Yeah. Now it's all committee. It's all it's just.
Or you have people who believe themselves to be savvy when they actually aren't. So they don't allow themselves to seem ignorant about what art is.
Yeah, or the Dunning-Kruger thing. They have one masterpiece, and they're like, yes, do that, but let's bring in our committee, and we'll do the sequel the way that the committee wants to do it instead of the director, because now it's a money maker. Let's make it make more money. and then the next one comes out and it's soulless and empty and manufactured, and there's so many things like movies, video games, music, cartoons and stuff that just keep becoming a slight step down more and more as more hands get involved in making the soup.
More hands involved and fewer
Creative minds.
Master skills being passed down
Yes.
and remembered. There is a in animation, I think there's also like a pretty big brain drain when it comes to 2D, obviously, because there are no more 2D features, and as such, like, no need for these skills except for the sake of making art. So, I've talked to, maybe this is too big a subject to bring up at the very end of the show, but, Joe and I have talked about how Richard Williams was, I think kind of the last one who was sort of hand mentored by the greats. And it was mainly because he started a studio just so he could hire those guys and learn from them. And then I suppose he mentored some people. I'm not sure who's like a direct protege of Richard Williams, but now he's gone and his masterpiece was never made. And with his passing, it sort of seems like, the idea of making things for the sake of art is kind of a dead dream that was killed in his lifetime.
Yeah, that's someone who had all of the know-how and all of the ability, but none of the funding. Mm-hmm. And it was someone who was taking a bit long, but if he had the level of funding that, like Concord, or any of these games that,
oh my God,
that they give them like hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's gone. It's like the South Park thing. It's like, okay, we're putting all your money in, and it's gone. and there's so much of that now. And then there's these little companies and little studios that are struggling, and right as they start to get going, somebody like EA Games or Ubisoft or whatever, they'll buy them out, suck them dry, turn their game into shit, and then they're like, oh, your game did bad because you're bad, and then they let them go and destroy them, and it's lame.
Yeah, it does seem like private equity jumps in and just kills things.
Yeah, if any studio or any eccentric millionaire or whoever drops money in my lap or offers to, no matter how big the amount of money is, I want full creative control. If I don't get it, I don't get the money. And that's the thing. I don't need money. I don't need a Ferrari with a Quake 3 logo on it. I don't need a yacht or a giant house or 5 Shark Tanks or anything. I just want to make stuff. I don't want a Ducati. I just want to sit in my basement and make cartoons. I'd like a little bit of money so I can hire people. I'd love, my end goal is to be the big boss of animation. I want to hire and train my own private army of animation producer people and make my own like fully funded thing, if it's funded by our audience or funded by me somehow, and with no executive meddling.
I want that too. Like, I think the art world needs more cranks. People who just hate this shit and are driven by their anger about it, and kind of refuse as much as possible to accept the current state as the way it has to be.
Yeah.
Don Bluth 2.0, that's right.
We need people who can paint with all the colors of the wind.
How high does the sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. Anything else we want to get into in our final 10 minutes? You got any topics, Joe?
I'm good. This has all been a very good wisdom.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wrote something down.
I mean, I think that was a pretty good note to close things out on.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're gonna do much better than that, guys.
No, that's good. I'm all right with that.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. This was really fun.
I had a great time. It's an honor to be here.
It's been lovely to have you. Come back anytime you want. And guys, check out the plush. Looks incredible. If you want to check out Fred's work, I mean, I don't think you're hard to find.
Yeah, just go to YouTube and type in a fox in space. It's the first thing that comes up.
You'll be happy you did. All right, everyone. Have a good night. See you next time.